Hey everybody, it's Sherry, and I'm back with my guest host, Big Nige. And you're back here at Alleged Actually podcast. Y'all, it's been a day. But before we get into this good recap of 90 Day Fiancé The Other Way, I got a cool little intro I want you to check out. So just hold tight. Like I said, guys, welcome back to Alleged Actually podcast. I'm Sherry
And I'm Big Nige.
and welcome back, guys. Today we are coming back to give you that good recap on another episode of 90 Day Fiancé The Other Way. So, Big Nige, what'd you think of the episode?
I think overall it shed some light into a couple of the couples, more specifically Corona and Ingi. Even though they have yet to get together, we're starting to learn more about each side and how this potentially can unfold for both of them. And obviously we got Shekinah and Sarper. We got a little bit of the aftermath that we saw from episode 1. So that's a little bit to unpack there. We really got into it with Statler and Dempsey. They showed both of their hands in their ensuing argument, and we'll definitely get to unpack that as well. And then we got a little bit of Lily and Josh. I think again we're still seeing a lot of the same communication problems that they have early on, and it might be. It looks like money is in a lot of these couples' problems. So be definitely good to talk about that with each of these couples.
Absolutely. As in real life, right? Because, one of the big things that couples argue about is money. So, that's right on brand with real life. So, guys, to get into the recap, the show starts off with Corona packing to go to Iceland. And just like you, Big Nige, I really enjoy this episode because we finally get to really delve deeper with Corona and we get to know a little bit about Engi. Because even before when we got to see Corona with her mom and her aunt and her friends, Engi was still kind of just what she said about him. We got to see him up close and personal in his element and with his friends. But before we get to that, it opens up, like I said, with Corona packing. She's getting ready to leave, and she's getting ready to leave her 2 hairless cats with her good buddies. And the actual couple, which I know is a topic for some folks, but what it appears is it's a couple that is with a transgender husband and wife, and they are expecting. And we know Corona is a midwife. She's studying to be one, which she's made the decision to leave all that behind to go follow her heart and go to Iceland to go be with Engi. And so, true to form, like we talked before, as she's packing, she's talking with her friends, and they are Christy and Leo, and they're talking about, her concerns about the lack of diversity in Iceland. She's concerned about being the only Black person there because she hasn't seen one. And not only just being the only one, but being the first Black woman or the only Black woman that Engi's family ever has met before. So that's a lot. What do you think about that, Nige?
Yeah, so I definitely think that's a lot of pressure. I know, growing up in a very highly white population in my hometown, that's a lot of pressure, and I've kind of dealt with what Corona is dealing with currently. So, going in, being the first, African American that their family is going to, eventually meet, it's some it's some pressure with it, but
It is.
obviously her example is a little bit on the extreme case because I ain't going all the way to no Iceland or nothing, but it's definitely a lot of pressure, and she's still trying to hold some of herself back, like she's not giving all of herself yet, because she's always talking about like her anger issues and some other things that she doesn't want Ingi to see up front. And, and her mindset going into this trip or moving to Iceland is, starting a future, settling
Mhm.
down, where Engi, when you kind of see a little bit of his mindset, it's like, all right, I've been in this bachelor mindset. I'm always with the boys. That's why he was talking about, I'm the last one kind of to, start trying to, date and actually, settle down with somebody. But it's like, you can't just go from a bachelor lifestyle to be with someone who moved all the way across country for you,
Right.
expecting you to settle down, no games, all future. And I think that's just a lot that Ingi just isn't really prepared for. Like, you're about to have this woman come into your life, live with you, you have to plan together. All your decisions are now going to be a group effort. It's a team effort now. It's not just what does Ingi want to do when he wakes up in the morning. It's what do we want to do as a couple that's aspiring to be married and prosperous, et cetera, et cetera. So there's a lot of things that can go wrong before it goes right with this relationship. And I'm just curious to see.
True that. I mean, and the way we'll do this recap, guys, is we're just gonna go couple by couple because the scenes went back and forth between individuals, but we're just gonna talk about the couples and what happened in the episode as a whole. So to your point, Nigel, or Big Nige, I'm sorry. So to your point, Big Nige, Corona believes that she's going off to start her forever, right? She's fully and rightfully so. You get ready to pack up your whole life and go to a whole different country, and nonetheless Iceland. But I thought what was crazy was when we see Engi in his element. It was like he's bebopping down the street, stops and gets him a hot dog, not a care in the world, rolls in to see his buddies that he's been friends with since he was actually in grade school. And they are playing the same game they've been playing since they were 16. All this is planting the seed for one of the most bright red flags that I've seen in a minute. Dude is extremely immature. He has no clue what he is signing up for. Outside of, they had a good time when she was there, the whole club scene, they kicked it, they had fun. But he admits that where he's from is actually extremely small town, to the point that they literally y'all have a site that they have to check to see just how closely related they are to someone before they agree to date or not. And that, y'all, not Big Nige. I'm like, whoa. So you're literally surrounded by people, not only that it's lack of diversity, but your people are your people. I don't know that
Mm-hmm.
Corona knows what she is truly about to walk into. So, okay, I gotta ask you, Big Nige, the whole role playing game. What are we doing here? Oh, what is that? Ah,
I have coworkers who play like similar games to what they're playing, and I mean, it's just a game you play together. It inspires the creativity. You have like these game pieces and all these things because I'm not fully aware of myself. I'm just learning through them. But it's just every game is different because it's limited to your mind. So whatever you think of, whatever rules you guys come up with as your group in that little friend group that Engi has, you know, possibilities are limitless. And those kinds of games, I'm sure, are very fun. But to the outside looking in, it definitely looks strange. A bunch of grown men, probably well into their 30s, getting together. It's not like get on the PlayStation or the Xbox. It's not even like a board game. It's something completely different. And it's something that I don't fully understand yet, but I know talking to my coworkers, it's a lot of fun.
I mean, it seems like to me it's just a whole lot of get together and let's play make believe. Oh, let's pretend like this scenario is happening and this and that. Child, when he said, that they were nerdy. Indeed, they are. Okay. So, Corona sis, I'm gonna keep checking it out, but sis, you need to brace yourself. Brace yourself. All
Mm-hmm.
right. Well, so we'll go over to Statler. This one, I don't even know. Maybe we should save Statler and Dempsey for last. What do you think, Big Nige?
I'm good with that. They definitely
Yeah,
have the most to unpack out of everybody in this episode.
yeah. So let's move on to Josh and Lily. So in this episode, Josh is also preparing to move to China, and he is talking with his parents, and they are actually the ones that are going to take him to the airport. So, he's leaving behind a job and his family, going to this country where he's not going to be able to work for a while, having to be totally dependent on Lily, who, as far as he knows, she's a business owner. She's going to be the breadwinner, and she's happy to do so. Um, they get to the airport. The parents are basically giving him the spill of, look, you can always come home. It's they support him, but I could see the skepticism. What did you think about that, Nige?
Yeah, so that's pretty interesting to like look at and see. Um, so on one hand you have like their family who's obviously going to support their decisions, but you could tell from his parents like they're not really supportive of it because again he's a grown man. I think he said he's on his third marriage. So now
Yes,
you want this
that.
marriage to be where you go all the way to China to find love. And on top of that, you're not going to be working. She's going to be the sole provider, especially like we said in the last episode, where in China the men are supposed to provide. Like it's a
Oh
culture
yeah,
thing. And so to go in there and thinking like, okay, like even though I know I can't work, like I have to be okay with not working, even though I'm coming from a background where I've been working, and he said he's been working since 15,
yeah.
right? So that's a big adjustment, right? No social media, he can't talk to the same friends, he can't be around his family like that. Like it's a big change that he's about to, take on. And he's doing it in the pursuit of love. But man, I don't know, man. It's especially when you have their communication, gaps, and she's giving him the best of the best because in her mind that's what she thinks he wants out of love. But in reality, he's fine with, sounds like the bare minimum,
Mm-hmm.
but she's going above and beyond and breaking the bank. And that's gonna, be a problem for them down the road because she's spending all this money. She's the only provider. There is no backup plan for the foreseeable future. So if she's your breadwinner and you're tapping all the reserves before he
Yeah.
even gets there, you know, what is that gonna mean for the future?
It's not looking very bright, that's for sure. I mean, y'all, it was beautiful when they take the scene over to Lily and she shows some of the costly renovations she's done to the home in preparation for Josh. It's lovely. But just like I told you guys last week, Mama don't have it like she claims she does because she's already filed bankruptcy. She's bankrupt, and to go in debt like she did to prepare the house when he, like, to your point, Big Nige, he's fine with the minimums, and he's already feeling some type of way about not being able to provide or help her financially at all. When he gets to the airport, even to show you even further how much he has a problem feeling like he has to rely on her, he doesn't even want her to come pick him up at the airport, y'all. He literally is like, nope, once I get there, I'm gonna figure it out. Thankfully for him, when he gets to the airport, it's Chinese and then there's also English. And so he's happy about that. He's able to get himself a cab. And the scene with him and the cab driver. Big Nige, what were your thoughts on that?
I mean, he was asking questions through that translator app. It's like he was expecting an answer that he didn't already know. Like,
Right?
what advice do you have for a foreign man, in this country about working? Go to work. If you want a prosperous marriage, your wife cannot be the breadwinner. It's just
Right.
not how they operate over there. So you need to get with it or get lost.
Pretty much. That's what he told him. He was like, hey, don't come over here thinking you're going to rely on a woman. You need to figure out a way to get a job. So I'm certain that does not leave Josh with a warm fuzzy. That's kind of how they wrap it up. They haven't quite gotten to each other yet, so I'm excited to see next week when they finally are face to face. He sees all this lavishness and then figures out Mama don't have it like she said she did. Y'all, stay tuned because we're gonna talk more about that next week. So now let us go on over, honey, to Miss Shekinah and Mr. Sarper because we are going to leave Statler and Dempsey for last. Y'all, this week's episode focused it focused mainly on these four couples. With Shekinah and Sarper. Okay, we talked about how it left off with Shekinah coming into the apartment and being very irate that we are still seeing that bottle collection that he was told to get rid of, and it was still there. And y'all, to add insult to injury, because she was mad about that, but then to find out Sarper has not gotten rid of that black book with all those 2,000 women names in it and all. Ciao. Sarper, really? So Big Nige, when I was watching the episode, I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, okay, so I know me and Big Nige are going to recap this, and I have questions for the male perspective. Listen, why is it that you think this man is holding on to this foolishness? She was very clear when she left that before she returned, she wanted those items gone. What's your take on it, Big Nige? Let us know, honey. Let the women know. We want to hear it from a man.
See, the only reason that I could see why he would hold on to it, and I'm not saying it's right, but these must have sentimental value to him, whether it's part of his past, whatever you want to just however you want to justify it. This is clearly he has a past. We all know.
Yeah.
And this might be his way of holding on to that past. Because since they have so many issues that they have, kind of ignored with the distance, this is his way of okay, if this doesn't work out with her, because he's already shown his frustrations with how they argue, he feels like she's kind of nagging him, pushing him to do stuff he doesn't want to do, like not train female clients, etc., etc. So you have all that. So they're not a perfect united front yet. They still have a lot of things to work out. So him being in his mindset, he's probably like, okay, things aren't going good. I definitely love this woman, etc., etc. But until we get over the hump and actually move past everything, there's no need to get rid of all my past transgressions because there is no future until we can figure all this out. But if you're going to constantly nag me, well, why do I feel like I need to feel like in his mind, he feels like he's breaking his back and doing all these things just to appease her. And again, I'm not saying it's right. I think he's pretty ludicrous to hold on to stuff like that, especially stuff of that magnitude. And to see how mad he got over the 143-page love letter from her ex, it's like at that point, maybe he's going to realize, okay, I don't like this. So because just like how she doesn't like, the bottles in the book, I don't like this because he literally threw it. As soon as he picked it up, I think he looked at a page and then just threw it on the floor. So this might be his aha, wake up moment, to finally get things moving in the right direction. But sometimes for us men, we're a little slow. Sometimes we need you to bash us upside the head with a frying pan with it for us to get the picture. It's just how it is sometimes,
Oh, yeah.
We're very simple-minded creatures at times. So it's like something has to hit us home, not just because you yell at us, not just because, we think it's a drag. So we're like, okay, we'll do it anyway. No, it has to actually hit us.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that might be something that's going to hit him to make him start changing his ways. But we'll see.
Yeah. Okay, ladies, you heard it straight from Big Nige's lips. I mean, sometimes we got to take that frying pan, pow, figuratively, not literally. However, I agree, and well, I don't necessarily agree with the fact that my opinion is that when you enter in a relationship with someone, you want to start how you want to finish. I feel that holding on to those bottles, that book, is the extreme of disrespect. If you tell me that you love me and you're serious about me and we're going to have a future together, they are talking about marriage. She's filed for a K-1 visa to bring him to the United States, and she's going to stay with him until that process is resolved. And you can't even say goodbye to your little memories of your little chicks, your side chicks, your little chicks, whatever they were. That's, to me, that's a major problem. And you're right. So when Shekinah pulls out her 143-page love letter from her ex that was neatly put in a nice little binder, and she presented it to him like, well, I wasn't going to say anything, but since we're talking about sentimental things or here you go. And his face, y'all, to me, for a second, I was like, that face looked like if these cameras were not rolling, mayhem. That was the look of somebody that was about to snap. So, to your point, Big Nige, he clearly didn't appreciate it. And so perhaps her stunt will make him think, okay, I am completely infuriated by this binder love letter. So maybe then I should respect her the same way I'd like to be respected. We'll see, y'all. I mean, we're gonna check back in with them next week. Hopefully they'll be one of the couples that are featured because I want to see. So
I have a follow-up question to that though.
Okay.
So when you saw how, obviously how excited he was to have her after 3.5 months, what message does that send for a woman, for a man to invite you into their home and they've been expecting you, but the place is completely messy, all the stuff that she wanted done around the house for her to unpack. She said she literally couldn't unpack because it was so messy. So, what is that for the females out there? Like what message does that send if your partner brings you into a home like that?
That sends the message, and I'm gonna speak for us ladies. That sends a message that you're not serious, that you didn't prepare for me, that you don't care enough to make sure that the home is accommodating to me, that I feel home. See, if she can't even unpack her stuff and have a place to put her things, then she's basically in his place. And the first thing that I would say is, clearly, you said one thing, but your actions are showing me something different. The fact that it wasn't clean, the fact that the things that she asked for him to get rid of were not getting rid of. I mean, it was not tidy. There was no space for her. All those things. It goes back to two things. It's respect, and it's just, showing somebody that you're serious. I for one, for me, that would have been a plane ticket right on back to the United States. I mean, seriously, she left her daughter back there. She's brought her dog. She's packed up her stuff. She's applied for K-1 visa. She's preparing to bring him into the world. And I know she stayed with him before in Turkey, but at that point, this was kind of them seeing how it would go. She got to see him in his world. Okay, now they've established that they don't want to be apart. And now she's coming back to live there until they figure out him coming to the United States. The fact that he did not prepare for her, that he did not make that place a place that could be their home, speaks volumes. Just saying. Sis, don't unpack for real. Get that return flight and go. You heard it here first, guys. Any further things you want to say about Miss Shekinah and Mr. Sarper?
Nah, I think they've spoken enough, and we'll see how their story unfolds, hopefully in the next couple episodes.
Absolutely. Okay, guys, now the couple that we have saved for last, because I have lots to say, okay? So, Statler and Dempsey. Their scene opens up with Statler. She's also packing some of her stuff. Now, Statler's dilemma is that they are now going to be living in a van, in a very small space, and they're going to be traveling abroad, traveling the country, traveling to different places, which for her is supposed to, or she had said at one point is fine because she works remote. But in order to live this lifestyle, you basically have to give up the majority of your things and keep only the bare essentials because that's literally all they have room for. So, among a gazillion things that Statler is obsessing about and stressing about, she's trying to figure out what she's going to take, what she's going to get rid of, what she's going to put in storage. And so it's kicking her anxiety into a million. Anybody that watches Statler certainly can see that this girl truly does suffer from anxiety. I mean, you can just watch her in her when she's doing her monologues and she's talking about what's going on. You can just see her eyes just darting like she's spinning herself up. So I'll say I had some compassion from someone that suffers from anxiety. I mean, that's a lot. But this is going to be one of the things that me and Big Nige are going to talk about in relationships. You know, we talked about communication is a big thing with all the couples. There's also a thing called being honest, but we'll get there. So she does talk about our big thing of the miscommunication on how Dempsey thought she was going to sell her car. So she goes to sell her car. I'm going to let you chime in before I get into that. What do you have to say about what we're witnessing here with Miss Statler?
Well, when they started talking about her in this episode, I mean, she was in traffic on her way to sell her car, a decision that she did not want to do.
But what was the key words, though?
The keywords, what?
She told Dempsey she was going to do, but go ahead.
Yeah, she did say, so she did say she was going to do it. Then obviously she ended up backtracking. But that's interesting because, one, she named the car Aspen. Just wanted to throw that out there for all the people who were actually, listening. But, it was something that was communicated between them. But then you go and talk to the person who appraises your vehicle right before you're going to sell it. And he's able to talk her out of it literally in 15 seconds?
If that long.
And I'm just curious because that was a decision they made, a big financial decision. Well, I'd say the second biggest, because the first biggest was she took out a $20,000 loan.
Yeah.
And I don't know how much these vans go for. And if it's something that's not that big, I don't know how 20,000 doesn't cover the entire van, if not at least her portion of it. Now, I didn't do my research on different vans, and I don't know which van they're getting, but $20,000 and that doesn't even cover her half. I don't know what kind of van they're getting into, but I need to see this because that's interesting. But getting back to Statler, I mean, she did say something interesting when she decided not to sell the car. She talked about how staying true to herself. And she says Dempsey is, she throws caution to the wind. She's free-spirited, things of that nature. So she kind of can just live her life in a suitcase, so to speak, because she's on the go, and that's how she wants to live her life. Statler is not like that. And that's a very glaring, red flag in their relationship because they're completely two different people. And I know someone can respond with opposites attract. Well, I don't know about in this instance, if you want to live on the road, on the go, and then you have someone like Statler who's, cautious, she's reserved, she likes to plan things out. She needs someone to reassure her, like, yes, this is plan A, and we're going to do this to get plan A. If we don't got plan A, we got plan B, we got plan C, and however, just to reassure her, because we understand, she's going to forget some things. And these are some important things that you don't want her to forget, but you can't put the onus all on her, if you want to have, success in this relationship. And I think Dempsey's kind of pushing her a little too hard to live up to her, I guess, financial obligations. I think it's too soon. I think if this woman is willing to go across country, she still has her job, but she's basically like moving everything out to be with you. I don't know. It's a little bit hard for me to just, bash Statler because, again, if you have ADHD, it's hard to just hold your feet to the fire 24/7 because, you're sometimes you're just not going to remember, and that's not your fault. Your partner needs to be aware, which I know Dempsey is, and she needs to continue to, playing with you and talk with you like, hey, remember, we're supposed to do this, right? We talked about this. This is what we're going to do. And if she's having reservations, then you guys have to talk about it in the moment. You can't just say go sell your car and then report back to me, because she's not a dog. She's your other half.
Yeah.
So when they ended up getting into it, obviously they had their disagreements about it. Dempsey was holding her feet to the fire. I maybe look to see maybe Dempsey kind of ease back a little bit after they had their little spat about it. But I don't know. What are your thoughts on their exchange between selling the car and all these financial obligations?
Well, first to your point about the van, we're talking about a van that they're going to modify, that they're going to live in, and they are quite costly. So $20,000 as her half, it probably doesn't cut it. Matter of fact, I know it doesn't cut it. Those modified vans that you live out can be in the six figures. However, I did pick up on your point, whereas it maybe I didn't think of it that way, in the sense that she wants to be true to herself. Dempsey is very free spirited, very hippie-ish, if you will. Can just be happy wherever with whatever minimalistic lifestyle, which she was already living in England in her little trailer without the running water or without the plumbing, no hot water. But she was cool with that, because Dempsey is very different than Statler. Statler, to your point, is a planner, is someone that needs grounding because she does suffer from ADHD. Her thoughts do swirl around, and just not having something concretely planned and just going with the wind really scares her. So fair point, Nigel. I think, though, when you say it's too soon, I think where Statler goes wrong is, instead of voicing these things, she kind of tells Dempsey what she wants to hear. And in any relationship, that's going to always come back to bite you, because when it's time to put up, you didn't pull your weight. Dempsey, she agreed to she got the loan, but she did agree to sell her car. And as a result, now she is 6,000 pounds short. Okay, so to put it in perspective, a pound is equivalent to more than $1. So it weighs more than the US dollar. So 6,000 pounds may equate to closer to 6,500 US dollars to 7,000. So, she could have certainly secured that plus some to make sure they had everything they needed. The fact that she didn't do it, and she made the decision not to sell, and is truly about to get on this plane and not really know, she's like, I'll figure it out. It just shows me that the two of them, I don't think, are ready. I mean, you have Dempsey, who's a caution to the wind kind of girl, who's quit her job and that honestly believes that she's going to rely on Statler, who can work remotely, but it seems unrealistic to me. They are one of my favorite couples on this particular franchise for this season, because I told you I really am a fan of Statler. I like her dry wit, and I think that Dempsey's free spirit is refreshing to see. I just don't know how the two of them are going to make it together. I sure am pulling for them. But you can see Dempsey's frustration again. I mean, she's giving her the face when they're on FaceTime, and Statler is telling her, well, I know I told you, well, I don't remember telling you I was going to sell my car. And Dempsey's kind of like, but you did. It's certainly going to be interesting to watch, because not only I think it's bigger than the car for Statler. I think she's just not comfortable giving up her life, what she holds dear, to go run off with Dempsey. I think she does love Dempsey, but I don't think she's really ready to go all in that way. I really don't. And I think they're going to find out really quick in that small space, in that van, that it's a lot more than what they both bargained for. So pretty much, y'all, it ends with Statler's going to get ready to fly out there without a concrete plan. And Dempsey is extremely frustrated, rightfully so. The one that I was pulling for, child, I want to see how it's going to go, because I don't think Dempsey's here for it. If she shows up and she doesn't have her part and they can't get that van and they can't start their trek around the world, I think Dempsey's gonna piece it out. What do you think,
Mm.
Big Nige?
I mean, that's definitely a good possibility. I think she'll be a little bit more sensitive to have Statler like in front of her. Like, I don't think she's gonna just, jump ship if she's in front of her. How you talk about people behind closed doors is a little differently. Like how she was
Right.
talking with her friend with her, about Statler. You know, they were hinting at the fact that maybe that's a red flag about, her not having her everything together and ready to
Hmm.
go. And and she's, cautious. So it's like, can you really live on the road? Can you really, bounce around like that with someone like Statler? She was asking her those questions and she didn't have an answer. So that's very telling. But we'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
Uh,
This particular show and a lot of these shows like this helps us to examine, is love really enough? Love is certainly the foundation, and it sure, like the Bible says, it covers a multitude of sins. So love is big, but there's other things involved in that love and things that go with love. It'll be interesting to watch, y'all. I would say this episode is giving me a little hope. I think the past two were just very introductory, of course, and now we're starting to get into the meat of the couples. So, guys, we're going to have you guys come back and chat with us again on next Wednesday when it'll be episode 4. And we're going to see what our couples are going to be into once they become face to face, because by next episode, some of these couples will be literally face to face and starting their lives. And I'm here for it. And we'll be coming back and we'll be talking to you guys about it and letting you know our thoughts. Go ahead, guys. Make sure you put in the comments what you thought about the episode. Do you guys think that Statler and Dempsey are going to survive? Are they actually going to get in that van? And do you think they're going to last? What are your thoughts on Shekinah and Sarper? I mean, Sarper didn't have that place ready for her, and Shekinah with that bringing that 143-page love letter. Y'all, what does that even say about their relationship? Petty much? Mm. And then you have Corona. I don't think she knows what she is stepping into. Mr. Engi needs to grow up, guys. But child, those are mine. And let's not forget Josh and Lily. He gonna go to that fat crib and find out they don't have 2 nickels to rub together. Child, I'm here for it. Y'all put it in the comments. What do you think? I'm gonna send it over to you, Big Nige, for final thoughts. I also want you to take some time to plug your podcast, Goatcast Podcast. Over to you, Big Nige.
I echo all the sentiments you brought about the different couples. The last thing I want to mention is how you finished with Lily and Josh. I'm very interested to see if, how Josh has that disorder where he doesn't like a lot of like sounds, smacking, crunching, things of that nature. Will there be an adjustment period for Lily and Josh on that front? We understand the financial, issues that are coming, but that is something that I'm paying attention to because that's something that this one right here suffers a lot from.
Oh,
So
big time. Hey, guys, if any of you guys are sufferers of misophonia, put that in the comments and let me know, because I can come on here, honey. I could do a live. I can talk to y'all for a whole hour about just how the suffering is real. So, Josh, my brother, I feel you.
I'm not as bad as her, but I still get like that at times too. But yes, I'm definitely looking forward to what's in store for all these couples. Obviously, wishing them the best. But if they're not setting themselves up for success, then we already know what the alternative is.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, it's me, Big Nige. Obviously, as you see right there, co-host of the Goatcast podcast, where me and my other co-host CW, we talk basketball topics, both past, present, and future. We actually have another segment that's going to be new on the horizon, so be on the lookout for that, where it'll just be me exclusively, and you'll have to stay tuned for what I got to say. Um, but other than that, I appreciate you guys for having me as always. Make sure you subscribe to this YouTube channel, the Alleged Actually Podcast, and obviously subscribe to the Goatcast Podcast. We'd love to have you.
Absolutely. And guys, before we say goodbye for the night, I want to invite you back on Friday for an epic crossover event between us here at Alleged Actually, myself, and Big Nige and CW of Goatcast Podcast. We are going to be recapping the show Clipped. Listen, feedback that I'm getting, you guys want it, and we're going to bring it to you. It was an excellent series. If you haven't seen it yet, go check it out on Hulu. It is 6 episodes. It will keep you watching. It is extremely entertaining. Come back and hear what we have to say about the Clip and the LA Clippers. So, guys, thank you, as always, for coming back. If you haven't yet, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Do us a favor and give us the thumbs up. Let us know you like what you see. And hit that notification bell. That way, as soon as we drop a live or a video, you'll be the first to know. So, guys, I want you to have a great night. As always, thank you. Come back Friday. We got something good for you. So, night.
All right, y'all.